In this video, we will be learning about degrees of freedom. By the end of this video, you will be able to define and elaborate on the concept of degrees of freedom, learn how to do basic calculations involving degrees of freedom, understand the applications of degrees of freedom in research and other worldly problems. Well, looks like we have a lot of work cut out for us. Let's see what this kid's doing. What type of juice do you want?
But what are my degrees of freedom?
Huh? Wow, I didn't think we just dive right in, but okay. Let's get some help explaining.
And lucky for us, I'm the one explaining. Let's go to my classroom.
So, could you please explain what are degrees of freedom?
Of course. A degree of freedom can have many meanings. However, in the most basic terms, it means independent values that have the ability to vary in dataset. For example,
there's only strawberry, orange, grape, and lemon.
To calculate this, we just subtract 1 from the number of values in a dataset, here being 4. So the degree of freedom is 3. To further expand on this concept, degrees of freedom can be calculated by getting the difference from the sample size and the number of parameters, or limits. Oh, Mom, you're not giving me enough degrees of freedom.
This is ridiculous. Tell me what you want.
Thank you.
Oh, so a larger sample size means more degrees of freedom.
Precisely. The more degrees of freedom you have, the more you're able to compare.
Now, I bet you're wondering, where do these concepts even apply? Well, we know degrees of freedom are important in the field of statistics. However, the take-home point is to understand how these concepts can be applied to your daily life. When you apply to colleges this year, it is important to have a large amount of degrees of freedom in order to have a good comparison and make the correct choice. Thank you, and keep learning. Quiz time. Think you understood the subject? Let's find out. Question 1. Identify the false definition of degrees of freedom.
The answer is n plus k. The correct equation is n minus k, which is the sample size, minus the parameters.
Question 2. There is such a thing as 0 degrees of freedom.
The answer is true! Just like having many degrees of freedom, there is such a thing as 0 degrees of freedom.
Question 3. Let's say a survey was conducted on 6 control groups to test a new medicine. Each group has 3 members. Identify the degree of freedom and explain your answer.
The degree of freedom is on 6 control groups because that is the independent variable of the study.
Question 4. You have applied to 10 colleges and got into 8. How many degrees of freedom do you have? Explain your answer.
You have 7 degrees of freedom. Yeah, you applied into 10, but the limit is 8. 8 minus 1 equals 7 degrees of freedom.